Thanks, guys. Okay. Thanks for the introduction. How about this? I will quickly pull up this presentation that we prepared to show you guys so you can visually understand what's going on. It's meant to be very short, but to show you guys some of the realistic scenes from our different countries, after which we'll kind of dive a little deeper, and that's when you can really ask us some of the questions. Okay, let me go ahead and share screen. Yes. So welcome to Quarantine and Chill. Let me start with Shanghai. So I am currently based in Shanghai. What does Shanghai look like right now? Here's a quick life update. So basically, Shanghai has been in, actually I have the two guys in the picture both hovering around me because they're here to see the show. But basically we're all wearing masks still, but Shanghai has been slowly opening up. As you guys know, the coronavirus hit Shanghai much harder around January and February, but now the economy is slowly restarting. We're trying to be very careful still. And a way to do that is this green health code you might be able to see at the top of the page. So the top little green code, that is the health code that I am always presenting when I try to enter commercial buildings and retails. So basically they want to use this type of health code to track us and to track our health. So green, because I'm okay to be, able to be here with you guys today. Orange, if I need to be under a 7-day quarantine. And I believe red, if I recently come back from a foreign country or an area that requires quarantine. So I would be red and require 14 days quarantine. We're doing pretty well over here and people are in good spirits. What does Shanghai look like and how has Shanghai been surviving? So if you guys have ever been to China before, you would know that we have a very, very thorough and a very well-built logistics system. So the delivery system in Shanghai is operating at capacity. You see people always dropping things off and lots of people ordering groceries and e-commerce. I believe e-commerce sales has actually increased around 10 to 15% just in Q1. This is not indicative of the economy, but it definitely goes to show that online and offline, O2O, so to speak, is the new trend. The biggest thing recently, and my colleague pointed it to me, is China is a compound-based society. So we live in compounds, lots of apartment buildings in compounds. I'm not sure about Singapore and Japan, but these days the 快递小哥, so the delivery guys are able to come into the compound to give you your deliveries or groceries. And that is just about the biggest risk or the biggest breakthrough that we've had in China. So overall, China is still quite risk averse. Shanghai is definitely much better, but people are still trying to be very careful. So what does it look like if you are craving takeouts and things like that? This was during the period, if you see this McDonald's, when we were still on a much more strict quarantine. Basically, if for some reason you're craving McDonald's takeout, they created a very, let's say, MVP style prototype of how to do contactless delivery. So on the left, on the slide, you see that's where you grab the takeout orders. It's actually split into different order sections. And on the right side of the picture, so when you have these orders, typically you're not the person to go out there and get the delivery system yourself. You typically ask a 快递小哥, so one of these delivery guys, to go and pick it up for you. And what do? They wait. So basically on the right hand side, you'll see that is actually where the people are, the delivery guys are standing in order to make sure that they're not right next to each other and kind of compounding the entrance area. It's really funny because the chairs are meant to be what is acceptable and so like a acceptable space to stand apart from each other. But how about eating out? So what does eating out look like? Eating out pretty much looks like this. I think on the left hand side, you see some of my colleagues. That's pretty much, I think they put on the mask for a nice picture. Of course, you're eating without a mask on. That's them eating hot pot. But overall, you still see F&B slowly coming back to life. I will say F&Bs, especially the small businesses, really need some of our help. So trying to go out there and support them now that things are slowly opening up, I think that's really key. On the right-hand side, super duper interesting. Do you see all those QR codes? I actually put a yellow circle around it for you. Those QR codes actually are the QR codes, the health codes rather, of every single employee at this one spicy Chengdu restaurant. The point of it is to show that everybody at this restaurant is very healthy, everybody is able to work, and if you really wanted to, you can go on here and scan each of us. This type of basically contact tracing has been really well done in China. And as you guys know, contact tracing is one of the most important things that governments or city level institutions can do to make sure any person that has been in contact with someone not feeling well is able to quickly get tested.
So I understand the color represent the green is safe and yellow is and red is dangerous. What kind of additional information you can get if you scan the QR code?
That's a good question. I actually have not scanned that many of other people's QR codes, but I believe theoretically you're able to see where they've been coming from in the last couple of days. So I'm not too sure about that, but that's a good question. If I think I have some colleagues on here, if they know, because I feel like they would know, please feel free to share that to everyone in the meeting, especially Emily. Emily is our China guru at the company, and I believe she's logged on at the moment. But yes, also, this is a little comic I wanted to share, is to commemorate the opening up of Wuhan City, which is which, as you guys know, was heavily hit, and they were under lockdown for a very long time. So this is a very cute anime to show that, and the rest of China kind of welcoming back. I heard when the highways and the tolls actually opened up, lots of people were beeping and super excited to welcome them back into Shanghai. Okay. All right.
And that noodle is actually a specialty of Wuhan, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you tried it before, Linghan?
No, I've not. Have you?
No, I haven't. Want to try it. I do really want to try it after everybody has this noodle in all the animation, and this guy is very cute, so I do want to try it.
Yeah, it's all the fuss right now.
Seriously. Okay, and then what does it look like now? So China is slowly restarting parts of its economy, but it was obviously heavily impacted. I don't want to go into every single detail now, but for example, education system, Gaokao was the university entrance exam that was postponed. We see that schools, like the rest of the world, has been online for a very long time. And now they're slowly restarting in-person or offline schools again. Very strict regulations. There's lots of checks going on to make sure that the students are healthy. I think what the government is really nervous about is second and third wave coming, especially when it comes to community spreading. So in that sense, people are still very, very careful about restarting school or areas where there's a lot of condensed people in one space, which is why it's funny when you look at the picture on the right. So I would love to see if somebody can actually answer this. Do you guys know where this place is? I'll give everybody 10 seconds to write in the Q&A. Quick, tell me where this place with all the people, where this is in China. It is in China. Can anybody guess? Wuhan. Somebody guessed Wuhan. No, it is not Wuhan. Mountain. It is a mountain. Close. Exactly where? Huangshan. Joey. Yes, Huangshan. Yes, Huangshan. I got lots of Huangshan. So this is Huangshan. Huangshan Mountain was restarted and they reopened to public. And actually, as part of the way to restart the economy, they wanted to give out incentives, and this meant in the form of waiving perhaps some types of entrance fees. And this is kind of what happened. So actually, everybody or most people, they're wearing masks, but I do see some not wearing masks. It also, for me, is just crazy how many people are in one place trying to hike Huangshan. Very, very good if you guys haven't tried it before. So that's quite interesting. So that is pretty much Shanghai in a nutshell for now. I wanted to show a very quick high-level snapshot. I'll go into government policies, perhaps even subsidies, and how that has impacted parts of the economy after this. But I want to hand it over to Yuki first to kind of update us how Tokyo is doing, because I do believe Tokyo has been going through a lot of different type of policy changes, especially as to how the government's dealing with this, right? Yeah. Go for it, Yuki.
Tokyo is now in the middle of lockdown, so I want to share stories related to me, myself, and also society as a whole. So first is my office before and now. So the picture on the left is my office building. It's right in front of the Tokyo City Center and next to big park, very beautiful place, very convenient. But now it changed to my room. But I haven't really got used to it, and see, I have a second display in my room, and that's totally, the working environment is very good for me now, and it's right next to my bed, so I can go to my company just a minute later after I wake up. And the next slide. Yeah, so my office changed to my room, but it happened to everyone in my family. Suddenly, my house became a composite facility. So even before the coronavirus hit Tokyo, we have kitchen, dining room, bathroom, and room for kids. But now we have two companies in my house and two universities in my house. So my dad is working for a bank, but his company is also changing for working from home, and my company as well. And also I have two younger brothers in different universities, but both of the universities cancel their classes and now change to online class. So they're taking class from home. So everyone's staying home for whole day, but doing different things. That's really interesting for my family. And my mom, and she's working for a department store in Tokyo as a part-time job, but now her job is canceled and staying home, and my dog as well. And next slide. So lots of change happened to my family, but society as well. This is Shibuya, the Tokyo city center, and the picture on the left is in normal time. Lots of people crossing this square. This is very famous square. But now it's like the picture on the right. Can you go back to the...
Sorry.
No. So only few people crossing this cross. This is very rare occasion now. So the next slide. So the city is changing, but still not many companies are changing now. So this is Shinagawa Station, one of the biggest stations in Tokyo. The picture on the left is normal time. Many people using for commuting, but the picture on the right is just a week ago. So still a lot of people go to company, especially those people working for old style Japanese corporate and old style SMEs. And the next slide is
the Olympics.
Yeah, Olympic. So Tokyo 2020, yeah. So I had an Olympic ticket, but the Olympic is canceled and postponed for next year. But it's totally fine for us. Like, of course, it's shocking for us, but compared to the coronavirus impact, it's not big issue for us. So next slide. So in Japan, big change for both individuals and society. Of course, I and also society is hoping the virus to fade out as soon as possible. But definitely in the future, we may look back 2020 and say it was a very big changing point for Japanese, both individuals and society. Yeah, and I will talk the detail later. Yeah, that's all from Tokyo. And next is Singapore. Linhan.
I like it. I feel like we're correspondents coming in from China, Singapore, and Tokyo.
That's a part of the idea. All right, let's jump right into Singapore. All right, so, we don't call it lockdown because we are kind of sensitive. So our government calls this sort of soft lockdown circuit breaker, to break the circuit in the chain of infections, right? Over in Singapore, we also don't call it social distancing. We call it safe distancing. And yeah, okay, so let's head on to the picture on the left here. You see that is just right before this circuit breaker came to action. People are wearing masks, and they are advised to only wear masks only if they are feeling ill. And so not a lot of people are wearing masks anyways, and then they go on packed trains and stuff like that. And so the government decided to do something first by taping up and cordoning off some spaces. Like, for example, in the second picture, you see the table. X doesn't mark the spot in this case. X marks the spot that you shouldn't be.
Oh, yes. Interesting.
Exactly, right? So there was a lot of miscommunication surrounding this X. Yeah, and then if you can see in the fourth picture, in the lift as well, in the elevator, you are only supposed to have 4 people in one lift at one time. And, the government felt like they have to do something. So you know, they want to push out some new measures. So in the middle picture, you say COVID-19, fine, jail for employers who don't make telecommuting arrangements where possible. That is very, very strict, I would say. Yeah. And then you can see in the final picture on the right, shopping malls are only allowing a certain number of people per square meter. And that's why you have to get admitted into each stalls to have your temperatures taken and to declare that you're safe and register. Yeah, so that's what happened before the circuit breaker came into place. Next slide, please. And so Clara and I are the only two employees of XNoders Singapore currently. And, you know, we decided to stick on, you know, we just go to the office until, you know, we really couldn't, because we work from a co-working space in Singapore, right? So all of the other people who are having fixed offices, they left because, you know, their offices require a lot of people to congregate at a small area. For us, we work from hot desk, and we have the beautiful sea view in the middle picture there. So yeah, so we didn't worry so much. And this was the last day before the circuit breaker came into action. And then we received a text message on our phone saying that, you know, at 4 p.m. today, the Prime Minister of Singapore would like to make an announcement. And
that is so Singapore, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And the two of us, with the community executive of this co-working space, we tuned in to his speech at the TV. And that's where he announced the circuit breaker, and we have 3 days to prepare. And that's where we scrambled to get, you know, our lives during the circuit breaker arranged and planned for nicely. I was looking for a desk, but, you know, everyone else was also doing that. So I couldn't get one. And then in the last picture on the right, there was Clara trying to like get in some good, buy some books and magazines. And you can see everyone actually queues up for the books and magazines. That is our scrambling period. Yeah, so I named this like the countdown. I mean, yeah.
The countdown time where you guys want entertainment more than food. I like it.
Yeah. Next. Right, yeah, work from home. This is a meme that one of my friends sent me. I think it's quite funny. Yeah, like people are thinking like, will working from home be effective? Will I even be productive, or will I just fall asleep, you know, seeing my attractive bed right in front of me? Yeah, so a lot of questions coming in. Next, please.
That's actually really funny because China, we're all wearing masks, right? And ladies, typically we like to wear lipstick. So there's a running joke of lipstick sales just dropping by like more than half in the first quarter because nobody needs lipsticks anymore. We're all wearing masks.
I like chapsticks, right?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so during the circuit breaker, such safe distancing measures are put in place. For example, the markings in the supermarket or convenience stores. And then we have our SG branded stickers reminding everyone to, you know, write this out together. It's a pun if you don't get it. Okay, never mind.
It's hard to see if everybody's laughing or just us.
Exactly. If you can type ha 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 in the Zoom chat, that'd be great.
Brownie points.
And on the right picture, you know, I didn't realize the sticker were there actually until I see everyone. Hey, why is everyone being suddenly so cooperative, right? They're sitting on alternate seats. And then I realized, you know, I went to peek and realized such stickers are at the base, at the cushion of every seat. So that is some of the safe distancing measure. And there are more creative ones coming up next. Right. So we have, in fact, a lot of comedians being gathered by the government to do like a reminder. So, you know, usually they put on the comedic face, and right now they say, hey, this is not funny. I have a message to tell you. So you can imagine the role reversal, and, you know, first of all, you capture people's attention because you're a comedian, you're kind of famous, and then you're stepping out of that typical role of yourself, and you're telling people, hey, this is not funny. So you can see on the right, the comedian saying, you know, 不搞笑. You know, I have something to tell you, but it's not funny. You know, if you sneeze or cough, cover your mouth with tissue paper, you know? And we even have songs that this guy on the left sings. It's like a parody of of all the different measures. So it's very creatively strung together in different songs, and we have the same style of songs for the SARS as well in 2003. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a question here. So do you think Singapore has actually, I think in APAC, we're giving a lot of credits to certain systems for effective governance. Singapore is definitely one of them. Do you think this type of creative and interesting communication, this seems to be a strong suit for a Singaporean government for public health, right? They seem to transmit communication very effectively, or more effectively than other countries.
Yes, I think they're doing quite well, especially when you look at Singapore's, know your audience, right? If you look at Singapore's populace, you can see it's a mishmash of different cultures. It's a melting pot of different traditions, and we even have our own so-called English Creole called Singlish, right? And if you have someone who is so emblematic of this culture, for example, comedians, because comedians need to really connect to the local people. You have someone of that stature tell you something that the government wants to tell you, people tend to get drawn to it. Yeah, so I think it's quite smart. And today I go on websites on Google, and I see advertisements from the government telling you to wear a mask if you head out, and make sure you maintain the safe distancing of 1 meter. So that's pretty cool. Yep. All right, so this is safe distancing measures that I found in the Singapore.
It's actually Dettol.
That is, I don't think it's Dettol. No one would do that, right? I mean, it just look the same. Yeah. Anyways, if you see, if you guys have been to Singapore, we have a really nice national dish called chicken rice. So it's either steamed or roasted chicken with very fragrant rice. And they usually hang these chicken in the display area so that it looks attractive and appeals to the customers. And after the safe distancing measure, I seen such like a meme where even the chicken are being like a safe distance apart. So that's very, very funny actually. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so being stuck at home, it's not really nice. So we want to try to look for a routine, try to get some fresh air. And adapting to this new normal means that, people might just go out to do yoga, have runs. Yeah, so Clara contributed the picture on the left when she went out to, get a breather. And it's a really nice picture. I contributed to, the one on the right, where I see a lot of people in this park actually working out and exercising. Of course, they're maintaining the social distance. Yeah. And so these are from Clara. So the last one was, because she was diagnosed with the common flu, she has to go to a clinic to get looked after, right? So,
but she didn't get the actual coronavirus test, right?
Yeah, exactly. So because you need to be really symptomatic to get a test, actually. Yeah, so we are cautious about that. And then the picture on the right is also by her, because she lives at a place that is really close to downtown with a lot of people. And you can see the supermarkets is just full of people. Yeah, so it's quite dangerous as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so we got to adjust to this new normal. Yep.
Okay, I think that's it for now. Let me pause the share so people can come back and see our faces. Hello, and we're back. Okay.
Nice.
Thanks for sharing. I think that's super duper interesting. So for me, I think it's also very interesting to hear about how the Japan and Singapore government has been reacting to all this. Mainly because I see we're in different parts of reaction to both the economic impact as well as the health impact of everything. So I'd love to hear a bit more on how government it could be policies, it could be economic subsidies, it could be kind of support given to individuals and SMEs. I'd love to hear a bit more about how that's going on. I can start first. So in China, as you guys know, the Chinese government is trying to really prop up our SMEs. China, unlike some other countries, they're not actually a heavily corporate environment. They're heavily propped up by SMEs, so the livelihood of these are very important to us. For us, we've been really wanting to look at the subsidies and the different types of rental waves that we can provide to startups in our space, friends that we can help with to make sure that their startups or their small businesses are getting all the aid that they need. For example, there are some things that they're doing, such as waves for manufacturers, especially industries that are hit very hard, as you guys know, as well as SMEs don't perhaps need to pay part of the social welfare they typically pay to the states every month. So they're trying to really help out with the cash flow to see how long this will take before we can kind of restart and jumpstart the economy again. But I know the question is always, when you restart it, what do you do? How fast you restart it? And how do we make sure there's no second and third wave? So in terms of China, I definitely see a lot of policies being put in place to kind of really try to kickstart the economy a bit and to support the people struggling a lot. Do you want to share a bit about how that's going on for Japan, maybe, Yuki? I wonder if the Japanese government has given any type of aid or given any type of support for individuals or even family units or businesses.
For the support or financial aid, Japanese government is very, very slow. But one of the reasons is that Japanese government at first didn't want to declare the state of emergency. So even from the middle of March, doctors and many people have already asked to the government to declare the state of emergency. But because the government didn't want to stop the economy, so the government tried to not to declare as long as possible. But finally, from the beginning of April, the government declared. But then we realized that we didn't have prepared much financial aid or support for both individuals and corporate and business to support them during their business closed. So especially for the SMEs, the government didn't decide any clear vision or policy to support them. So because the central government is too slow, now the local government, like Tokyo Prefecture or each prefecture government, trying to make their own policy to support them. But then the problem is that Tokyo government is very rich. Like the Tokyo's annual budget is same as Sweden as a country as a whole.
Wow.
But like other regions in Japan, including Tokyo, there are 47 regions. So other regions, local government, they are not rich. So if each local government decide their financial policy, there's a huge gap about the amount of money. So that's the big problem for business or especially for SMEs now. And for the individuals, the government said, at first they said, we will give $30,000 for those poor families. But then after 1 or 2 weeks, the government changed to like 10,000 for everyone. And also now they are trying to spread masks to everyone, like 2 masks for each family. And then people are calling it Abenomics, which means like in the past, Prime Minister Abe called his economic policy Abenomics, and then now people call it Abenomics. That's the funny story about the government. So like overall, the government is too slow, but like local government are trying to doing their best to support their business. That's the situation in Japan.
I think that's a little similar to Shanghai, maybe not in terms of how quickly governments are responding, but it's definitely different levels passing down policies. I believe that's very similar. Shanghai government has been very quick to pass policies as well. How about you guys over there, Linghan? How is Singapore with that?
Well, we certainly don't face such issue. You know, we don't have different levels of the government in terms of like state level, city level, province level. We are city state. We have one level.
It's a big country.
It's a yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we have support coming in from different sectors, from the government support to private sector, right? So the government support has come in two so-called budgets, right? So first it's the resilience budget, which was announced when we were going into COVID-19 for real. And then before the circuit breaker came in, we have the solidarity budget. And okay, let me sum it up. So it's basically a 9-month salary support for employers who hire Singaporeans or Singaporean permanent residents. So for the months of April to May, for this 2 months, the government supports up to 75% of your salary.
Wow.
And then for the rest of the year, it's going to be 25%. So June onwards. Yeah, correct. So that's one way. And we have the temporary relief fund for people who have been affected in any way by the COVID-19. So if you go to the government and say, hey, I can show to you the proof that I'm earning less money, or as a result, I've become unemployed, you can apply for $500. And the government also gave every Singaporean NPR $600. Yeah, right before we went into the circuit breaker. So that's a really good buffer that they put in place. From the private sector, we have the Action Community for Entrepreneurship, working together with a lot of big companies. For example, they work with banks to have loan-free, collateral-free business loans. And then they work with, for example, venture builders to come up with solutions to tackle COVID-19 and relevant challenges. Yeah, correct. So I think there's also room for social innovation. Yeah.
I heard that Singapore's what did you call it? Circuit breaker is extended now to June. Was there a reason for that, or is there additional things that you guys are adjusting in light of that?
Okay, so 2 main things are happening right now. So the first one is an explosion of new confirmed cases in the cluster of our about almost 200,000 migrant workers. So these migrant workers are being housed in up to 43 dormitories. They are really, really tight packed, and and it's also something cultural, right? So they're really close to people with whom they stay. So that's why there's a huge explosion. Every day we are clocking in almost 1,000 new cases. And then, out in the Singaporean community, we have every day up to about 20. So, and this number has been fluctuating. So, and we are halfway through the initial circuit breaker, and the government say that, it might not be enough. So, so we extend it. And, if everything goes well, we might even slacken the measures by June 1st. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you're in it for the long run of working at home and getting used to this. Singapore and Tokyo.
Wait, question. How long did you guys in Shanghai work from home?
Yeah.
We worked from home for so it was hard. So we had Chinese New Year, which I believe you guys did as well. So we had Chinese New Year, and then the Chinese New Year was extended by an additional week. After which we had around 2 to 3 months of remote working. I say 2 to 3 months because they also had policies in place on capacity working. So some companies slowly went back into work around, I believe, March, but they had to make sure that they were always under a certain capacity of people. So this could be 50% capacity. How companies worked it out would be staggering. So you would have a stagger system of people coming in and out. And of course, during this time period, a lot of us still worked from home. So I was at home for probably around a month and a half. It was very interesting because, as you guys know, during this month and a half, you still have to pay rent, you still have to keep the lights on. So actually there was a lot of discussion on that. And I believe the Chinese government actually ended up waiving a couple months of rents for a lot of these small companies in light of everything. Otherwise, it's quite a difficult situation to be in. So we were in it for a while, but it seems like you guys will be in it for a little longer.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know when we can finish working from home.
How has it been? How do you guys? How has working from home been? Has it changed anything? Interrupted anything? Can you guys share some interesting tips or collaboration tools?
Yuki?
Uh-huh. So the biggest finding I found after I started working from home is that essentially working from home is same with living in the company.
Why?
So I'm sleeping in my room and I'm working in my room, and my company's laptop is always right next to me. But in the past, I couldn't bring my laptop back to my home because there are lots of important informations. But now laptop right next to me all the time, which means I can work anytime I want, or I have to not required, but I can reply message from my colleague anytime when I wake up. So essentially working in home is same with living in the company. That's my
Oh
finding.
gosh. Oh gosh. But I remember
Wow.
Japan is a very traditional working society, right? So
Yeah.
has there been any complications? I always remember, Japanese colleagues, you're having lots of contact for sure. You're always bowing at each other. There's lots of
Uh-huh.
paperwork, so much
Mm.
paperwork.
Uh-huh.
How has that been?
It's not changing, but definitely after this COVID-19 shock, the society might change, but still not that big change. And I have to say that personally, I love my work. So not everyone is working like me, and maybe I'm like outstanding example. But like country as a whole is still old style. So like the funny story is that like still in Japan, stamp is very important for any contract.
Mm,
So in my company, like in like I don't know what's the name of the division, but in one of the division regarding contract, one person for a day has to go to company just to stamp. So each person has like a
so they wear a
shift of
mask and
stamp.
go in.
Yeah, wearing mask and go to company just stamp, stamp, stamp.
That's that's literally called stamp duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
Interesting. Wow.
yeah.
I hope Singapore is more high tech. Like,
Oh yeah, talk about high tech. Okay, so we are working on a couple of corporate innovation projects, and because our team is small here, we need to partner up with some other team, right? So we partner up
yeah.
with another corporate innovation firm, and they are the official Google partner for startups, and so they are really entrenched in using the Google
Google.
ecosystem, right? Yeah, Google is good. Yeah,
Yeah, Google
so
is good.
they use Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Hangout Meet for almost everything. However, the problem came here because we have a lot of our experts and team in China, right? So we have to have some meeting together with everyone. So what we did is we have the Chinese team compromise and come up with Google, but it failed. Not sure why. Maybe the VPN was intermittent. I'm not sure
Mm,
why, but and then we were like, okay, guys, this doesn't work because it's quite important information that we're getting from China. So we decided, hey, why not we all, use WeChat? And then our partners who use Google was like, yeah, sure, let's do WeChat. I have downloaded WeChat, and then once we went on to the WeChat, we just realized one of them, because she was from the UK, she doesn't have WeChat, so she had to download WeChat
of course.
and then get verified because WeChat is really strict in verification. And then I had to add her into the group and then add her into the call. And by then, the meeting was already extended by one hour. So talk about high tech, but I see a lot of differences between like
So what
what
compromise did you guys come up to? Like what can you share with us that works?
I think next time, next time we can just use maybe something that works in both countries. For example, Cisco WebEx or maybe this version of Zoom. Yeah, because I'm also organizing some talks with the Entrepreneurship Society at Jiao Tong University in Shanghai.
Hmm.
So yeah, yesterday we just had our first talk and we use WebEx and it works very well. Yeah, so that's a recommendation.
Nice. I think for us here at XNode, we've been using Zoom quite a lot. We've been using it to do both this webinar app as well as using the regular conferences. It's been working quite well. I do think they're definitely at capacity. This is not a plug for Zoom or Zoom stock, but they have also increased their stock by, I think, 6 times or something. So good for them. This really speaks to this need for online tools. So do you guys want to share a bit about how it's been going on personally for you guys and how it's impacted family? I know Clara can't be here today, but just for all the attendees here that might not know Clara, Clara is our innovation director. As I mentioned, she has the flu, but Clara's family actually originally is from Wuhan. So I had asked her to kind of share a very interesting story about her family because it was very interesting for her. She was in Singapore while her family were visiting her, and then they were trying to, I believe, go back. And it was this whole thing. And it really goes to show that, closing borders is something that can really impact people. So it's a shame that she can't be here to share that. But definitely I see this type of impact everywhere. So I kind of want to ask you guys, like, how is it personally for you, for your friends, from an emotional perspective? Also because I think motivation, trying to keep very motivated while staying home, whether the impact is social or economic. How has that been going for you guys? Maybe Yuki, how are you doing? You're just entering into it. I believe Japan has a very light social distancing, but how do you feel so far?
So for my family, there are 2 things I want to share. The first thing is I feel very sorry for my younger brother. He just entered his university in this April. So he entered, but there are nothing like entrance ceremony, and actually his university is a different part of Japan, South Island, but he's still in our house, and every class online, even though he just started university, and he have never met his classmate, but everyone on Zoom. So maybe it's better to so it's not worthwhile situation for him because he still has Zoom or Hangout, Twitter, those kind of SNS to connect with his classmates, but still he was shocked to not to have entrance ceremony and all the classes. And also, actually, he was planning to living in a dorm with lots of classmates.
No.
But he can't. Yeah, so I feel sorry for him. But the second point is that my father is always saying the only one thing good about the COVID-19 is the family still have time to spend together. So, like as I said, originally my brother should be in a different island, south part of Japan. And also since last April, I started living by myself near the company. But now I go back to my home and working in my home, and also my brother as well. So my family is having lots of time together just because of the COVID-19. So it's kind of, how can I say, emotional for my parents. So
yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so
must
of
be
course
great to
we
have
hope.
everyone in the same house.
Yeah.
You think? Yuki, you were saying?
So yeah, so originally only one younger brother should be in my home, and two brothers in a different part, but everyone in the same house. That's special. But of course, we hope that COVID-19 to go away as soon as possible.
Yeah, I actually think I hope Japan actually comes through this really well. I do realize that a lot of societies hit very hard are intergenerational family units, right? Societies in which lots of different generations live under one household, especially when it comes to aging populations. I understand Japan is one of them. Italy is obviously one of them as well. And just trying to make sure everybody's safe and well. That's definitely hard, but it's nice to have some family time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
How about you, Linghan?
I'm perhaps the opposite because I'm perhaps the opposite because I went back to China because I was from China from Chongqing, and then I went back for the Chinese Lunar New Year to celebrate time with my family and have fun. And then on the night before the first day of Chinese New Year, we knew that something is going to be quite serious. It's going to get big. So I was like, okay, since I have an internship coming up, I have to go back to Singapore now before the border, restrictions come in. And lo and behold, I came back, and 2 days afterwards, Singapore announced that that everyone who's coming from China is to serve like a stay-home notice. Yeah, and travel has been kind of has been made harder in a way. Yeah, so predicted that. So it's a good choice that I didn't plan to stay there for longer, to celebrate the New Year's longer. But it also made it really hard because, for example, my parents are right there in Chongqing. Right now, the situation has been reversed. So Singapore has gotten worse. You just stay safe and careful. And then every day right now, my mom is showing videos of them going out to eat. From Chongqing, we have this really spicy mala hot pot where everyone just sit around and cook your stuff. It's a very communal thing, and they are allowed to do that right now in small groups. So that's what I'm missing, Yeah. So, but it's also good to stay at home. Still getting used to working from home. Yeah, because home has always been a place for chit chat, has always been a place for relaxation, never some serious work, So I'm still trying to adjust to that.
Yeah, stay home a little longer.
Yeah, to experiment, right?
Yeah,
exactly. How about healthwise, like public health-wise? I think you guys are all practicing probably all what the government is telling you to do in terms of social distancing and everything. Is there anything else you see that's been really interesting? For example, Linghan, you mentioned that Singapore is, I think you're actually peaking right now because of the fact that there's a lot of community spread. I would love to hear about what type of messages they're trying to send in terms of the health part. Also economically, right? So Singapore is a very small country. You guys are actually very services based as well. How has that impacted Singapore as a whole? Is it too early to tell? And same with Japan. I understand that, Japan is slowly easing into it, but I wonder if the Olympics economically has impacted you guys, especially there's a lot of ad spend for this year, right? And pushing a lot of things till next year. How has it impacted society? I can start first. So in terms of China, as you guys know, economy has been down. GDP has been down. It's forecasted that the first quarter we're down, I think 6.5% or more. E-commerce is up, but we're definitely seeing a very slow retail increase. So in that sense, I think China is definitely going to struggle a bit to get that going. But from a health perspective, it's actually really interesting as well. I think this is a very swift public health lesson, if you may. So if everybody knows, you're always telling people to wash your hands, you're always telling people to do certain things such as wear a mask. But this is a very swift lesson, and I do think this is going to change behavior. You can look at you can look at 3M, you can look at a lot of companies in which hand sanitizers and these type of hygiene chemicals are their main products. They are doing really well, whether it's stocks or revenue. So I do think those are some of the things that will stick. Health-wise, I also think that people are still very careful, mainly because you see that they have the emergency hospitals that they built in response to everything. A lot of these were in Wuhan. They've kind of closed it down, but not fully dismantled. This is in preparation for second and third waves. So you see the Chinese government, both on the economic front and the policy front, really try to do something to make sure that the economy is restarting, but at a pace that's acceptable. So that's kind of what we're facing right now. How about you guys? Or do you think it's too early to tell? Yuki?
I think it's still too early to tell. In terms of public health, I think one thing really helped Japan to make the pandemic very slow is that we had a habit to wear masks even before the coronavirus hit Japan. So even before it came, my company has a mask, like a box of masks in every department, so that employee can take mask anytime they have a cold or whatever. So that kind of culture helped Japan to slow down the pandemic, and also that, as Jay said, Japan is aging society and lots of old people, but still the company is keeping its medical system. And the second point, in terms of economy, especially regarding Olympic game, Like the country is losing a lot in travel industry. Because of the Olympic, there are lots of new hotels in Tokyo and also other beautiful part of Japan, and also lots of new flights from all over the world. But everything changed from this March. So, and lots of empty hotels. That's the biggest problem for Japanese economy now. Not the biggest, but very big problem for Japanese economy.
Minghan?
Right. Okay. So for the Singaporean side, it's whether it will not like okay. So our finance minister said that this impact will last at least 1 year because we have to first go through the recovery and then rebuild from there. But however, we have some solid figures. So in the first quarter, Singapore's economy contracted by 2.2%, and the construction and service sectors has been really hard hit, like what you assumed correctly earlier. And but there are good stuff. For example, in the health side, Singapore developed this rapid test. I'm not sure what the firm is called, but it's called rapid test, and it actually helps to identify COVID-19 virus strains within half an hour or 40 minutes. Yeah, so it's really fast, and I think it's used as a proxy, but it's still 99% accurate. So you can see a lot of this sort of innovation that has been poured into it. And the Singapore government, right before being heavily impacted by COVID-19, has released a budget, right? And in this budget, Singapore has a strong push towards deep tech, like advanced technology, and that concerns medical technology as well. And we're seeing a lot of money being poured into that, and even more as a result of this outbreak. So it's quite promising to see what innovations we have here as well.
That's great. I actually see in our attendee list, we have Rudy which I've been working with on another project, and he has a deep tech startup. So Rudy, if you're listening to this, Singapore seems like a pretty good place right now. Okay, I see we have a couple of questions from the Q&A as well as the attendees. So I think we can move on to the Q&A part. If you guys have any questions right now, please type in your message right there. Right there. Yep. We will try to answer them as best. So the first question comes from Theo, and the question is, has XNode been affected by the pandemic? Are different startups pausing their acceleration programs in China? So yes, XNode has been affected by the pandemic for sure. The reason being, XNode is an innovation accelerator. What we do is primarily accelerate for both speed as well as accelerate for business impact. And the actors in it are typically startups, institutions such as governments, investors, so these are venture capitals, as well as corporates. And in all these different cases of people in the innovation ecosystem, all of them have been severely impacted. But the number one reason, and the most simple reason, is because literally foreign founders cannot come into China. So China has put up a wall on its borders. Pretty much no foreigner they're not issuing visas, and then no foreigner is able to come in without a 14-day quarantine, which effectively dismantles a lot of kind of the business that we do, because it's very cross-border. We want to help a lot of overseas founders and their business ventures land in China. And a lot of that is still done primarily physically. And of course, when it comes to our corporate side, we are also seeing impacts. Corporations, like many of our friends and family in the attendee list, you guys know you've been impacted a lot. Budgets are primarily frozen, some cuts, but primarily frozen. Q1, Q2 is definitely a very stagnant position, and I do believe Q3 we hope to see some activity back, but we're kind of just holding on and waiting to see what type of strategy is most suited for this. How can we create a new type of innovation in light of everything? So for us, it's actually been quite interesting. We've been impacted because a lot of things have been on standstill. But it's actually created a lot of work for us. So we're trying to experiment with a lot of new tools, a lot of new things to get back online. So while trying to create these type of virtual acceleration, virtual programs, it's a lot of work for the internal teams. So for me, I do think XNode has been impacted, and it's ironically a lot more work for us at the moment. What do you think, Linghan? How has it impacted the Singapore side? You guys had a little bit more lead time to kind of head into it. Oh, I think you're muted. There you go.
Yes, sorry, that's a bad habit. Anyways, yeah. So, like what you've said earlier, Jade. So we are experimenting with you having a virtual program to bring Singaporean startups over to you guys in Shanghai. And even though we have a little bit of more lead time, we still need to adapt because changes are happening so quickly. And because we are working really closely with the Singaporean government, we need to adhere to really strict measures and really be prudent. Yeah, but otherwise, I think it's pretty good.
Nice. Okay, and I believe we had a question on policies and subsidies directed to us, but we did answer that. Different governments are giving out different types of subsidies to individuals and SMEs. Primarily when it comes to China, lots of it comes in the form of rent waves and the local government passing down a lot of these subsidies. We have been working with lots of companies to try to help them identify this. A lot of this is government relations to understand what are the benefits that apply to me. And on an individual level, you also see people chatting within the different communities on what type of benefits that they can get. So I do believe in Shanghai, at least, I can't speak for China, it's a very different level of from inside out for subsidies. I believe Singapore and Tokyo side, they also touched on it.
Yeah.
I see another question coming in. Any tips to friends in social distancing situation to keep mentally healthy? Eat, Pray, Jade. Okay, that's funny. So Eat, Pray, Jade, if you guys don't know this, I guess this will be a plug for myself, is the food blog that I run. I am a food blogger when I am not chasing innovation trends. And in light of this, tips to friends in social distancing. So Linghan and Yuki, my tip for you guys to stay mentally healthy is to do a lot of video chats. Actually, I highly encourage you guys to try one of these proper drinking, not like what we're doing now where we're kind of drinking a little bit, proper drinking catch-ups with your friends through Zoom. I actually think it's very effective. I had a friend in the US do it across a couple time zones where they just ate, like they cooked a really nice dinner and they ate and kind of had a chat. That worked really well, as I think. And overall, they also like try to keep a bit of, I want to go with physical health. So trying to work out, you see that being huge in China. So online fitness platforms, online fitness apps. In China, we have ones called Keep. These type of fitness communities online are like ballooning. I don't know about you guys. Are you guys seeing these type of online tools, online entertainment kind of ballooning? Singapore, Japan?
Yeah, for me, I use an app called House Party. This is not a plug for them, but I think this is really good. So it mimics the physical interaction that you have with your friends, in that once you click and open the app, anyone in your contact list can come in and join into the video. So you better be prepared whenever you are in the app, because yeah, you don't know what you might be doing or how you might be looking when you click open the application. Yeah. Anyway, so House Party is a really good way to catch up with friends, and you can play games. There are different versions of quizzes, very fun quizzes and trivia quizzes. Yeah, and then you can play charades and picture recall, or yeah, you can draw something to let them guess. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Interesting. How about you, Yuki? Anything like House Party?
I haven't tried that kind of special app yet, but I do want to try a formal Zoom dinner or formal Zoom drinking.
Yeah.
I do want to try. Maybe tomorrow for Friday night.
Yes. And then I think we have a question on which key industries have suffered big systemic impacts in APAC as a result to COVID. Are there certain sectors that will find it particularly difficult to recover post-pandemic? So I think from my end, I can share, yes, for sure. There are definitely some sectors that are finding it more difficult. Manufacturing, these type of hard offline industries, more traditional, are definitely suffering. Conversely, we do see transportation industries also trying to survive over there. Sorry, give me 1 second. My computer is dying, so I need to make sure I have a charger. Yeah, so in terms of industries that are going to thrive in light of this, we definitely think in terms of health and supplement area that will be thriving. People definitely want to be more, they want to take care of themselves better, and they want to better understand their bodies. So health and supplement is a huge area. I didn't mention retail because I think retail is really a mixed pot. We actually have a couple of retail gurus attending tonight, but offline retail is definitely struggling by a lot. We see, especially in the luxury sector, sales are down and revenues are down. That being said, I also do think retail is experimenting with a lot more tools and a lot more technologies than other types of industries. So it's really up to them to leverage these very smartly. In the case of luxury, you see lots of luxury now working with live streaming, which is a very popular short form video way to get people on fast. So these type of experimentation, time will tell. I do think e-commerce is the trend that's growing as well. So kind of, I want to see what retail can really do. So that's kind of my input. How about you guys?
I think it's giving, for example, e-commerce here in Singapore, a great push to reach the Chinese level of efficiency in terms of delivery, because usually, when you order something online in Singapore, it's not that quick. But right now, it's blazing fast, like 1 or 2 days, or even sometimes same day, depending. So that's giving it a push as well. But, one of the key industries that's being affected right now will be tourism, right? For example, one of our superstars, Singapore Airline, has already reduced up to 90% of their capacity since March, and it might be even lower right now. And to humanize this issue, I read a story about a flight attendant. She had only 20% of her usual income, and she has to resort to asking relatives who work at hawker stalls. Hawker stalls are those like small food stalls in open markets, if she can work there just to supplement her income. Yeah, so that's a huge impact. Imagine earning 1/5 of what you've been used to. Yeah. How about you, Yuki?
So in Japan, maybe same in the world. So in the short term, the travel industry is suffering a lot.
Has everything been, and what do you hope to get? For me, it's definitely sunshine and getting back into meeting rooms with prospective startups and corporates. I kind of miss having these people face to face. It's ongoing, but it's definitely not back in full force yet. And for me, I also really miss going outside in the sun. So for me, those are probably the two main things. I'm definitely going out and socializing a lot more, but I'm still trying to, practice safe social distancing. So, and you?
I'm same with Jade. I miss a lot sunshine and also face-to-face interaction. Regarding work, with Zoom or Hangout, Google Meet, I can work and I can talk with my colleague, but still face-to-face interaction is something different. I would say my productivity is not decreasing, or I would say increasing because I'm working alone. But sometimes I feel my creativity is definitely decreasing because less face-to-face interaction.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you,
Nice.
Rihan?
I think sunshine is definitely not the one thing that we miss over here, because we have sun all year long. Yeah, so we can go out to run and stuff like that. But I definitely miss my food, my hawker food, because the measures are coming in stricter. Even though we are allowed to go to buy food, like for each meal of the day, there are a lot of nice foods that are being shut down. And the nicer ones that a lot of people patronize happen to be the ones who are slightly richer and they can afford to, take the time off. So yeah, it makes sense. So I miss my food.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last thing is go support your local F&B guys. Coming from one food blogger and someone who loves to eat, if you really love your restaurants and your small businesses around you, go out and support them when you can, of course. So we even see some interesting F&B innovations coming out during this time. One of my favorite bars in Shanghai, it's called Epic Bar, EPIC. They have great drinks and it's really great vibes. But of course, at that time that we were really trying not to go into these social places. So they created this line of kind of Andy Warhol inspired little tin cans of drinks. And then my colleagues, Emily and I, what we would do is we would shake our own cocktails at XNode at work, and then we would just serve ourselves drinks. But it was still our way of supporting them. So go out and support your local F&Bs. Chains need love, but not that much love. So I do think it's a good time to do some of that. Yeah, so last pitch on the food part for me. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us for this type of casual chat. Thanks a lot for this, guys. Cheers from Geneva. Thank you for joining us from Geneva. I hope you guys are staying safe in Switzerland. Sherry, sending regards from Singapore. Thank you for joining us as well. We really wanted to keep this very casual and fun. We've been listening to a lot of webinars from a lot of much cooler, much bigger innovation players, consulting firms. And we just wanted to have an excuse to get everybody together to chat and chill.
Sounds good.
Hey, thank you, everybody. So we'll probably be here chatting. Feel free to sign off, leave any last minute questions. If you guys have any questions, you can also always reach out to any of us if you have our WeChats. If not, you can follow us at XNode Accelerates on Bye.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
It's been amazing.
See you guys next time on the other side of the earth.
Yes. And yeah, next time it's going to be in Shanghai, I guess.
Yes.
Face to face.
Yeah, face to face.